All right, thanks so much for being with us here on Atlanta News First Plus. I'm Joy Limnacker, and taking a look at some of the top stories that we're following right now. I want to get you to this footage of the scene where a person was injured and had to be hospitalized after an incident at an adult store. So police say that the individual, a man, was cut in the head at the Tokyo Valentino store on Cheshire Bridge Road. Right now we're working to learn exactly what happened. But again, we can report that the person has been hospitalized and was rushed to Great Memorial Hospital after some treatment at the Tokyo Valentino adult store, which involved a cut in the head. Okay, I also want to get you to this story that made major headlines yesterday and is still capturing a lot of attention and a lot of curiosity because people are still trying to understand what exactly happened here. A lot of chaos outside of a very popular Buckhead bar. Looters seized whatever they could get their hands on at the Red Martini. The attorney representing the owner of the Red Martini, which has now been evicted, said that they got no warning. Essentially were just kicked out and their belongings left out, which then looters, you can see, picked through. Atlanta News First, Rachel Aragon is outside the business along Peachtree Road with more.
Good morning. Well, this is the back parking lot of the Red Martini, which is now completely empty, but it was a very different story yesterday when this whole area was filled with furniture and many other items after the eviction. Take a look at this video right here. It gives a better view of what was filling up this area. The attorney for the Red Martini says they should have never been evicted in the first place. Yesterday afternoon, a large crowd gathered around alcohol, furniture, and other items dumped in the parking lot after the eviction. Well, according to documents from the Fulton County Magistrate Court, last August, a judge ordered Red Martini to vacate the premises, saying they stayed beyond their lease term. In December, a writ of possession was given to the landlord. The attorney representing the Red Martini owner said the business did not default on any payments, saying in a statement to us that the Red Martini was abruptly and unlawfully evicted without any prior notice from either the landlord or the Fulton County Marshal's Department. Well, witnesses say people appeared to take alcohol and other items.
I say within 30 to 40 minutes, actually, they got evicted. Most of the stuff was gone. People had shopping carts full of things.
And Atlanta News First did reach out to the attorney representing the landlord about the eviction yesterday, and we are still waiting for a response. Reporting in Buckhead this morning, Rachel Aragon, Atlanta News First.
On Upper Riverdale Road. After the eviction, law enforcement says at least 500 people showed up hoping to grab products, essentially looting, but Lovejoy police, along with Georgia State Patrol, blocked off all the items thrown out of the store, and they were eventually dumped into a landfill. It's still unclear why this beauty mart was evicted, but again, two evictions making headlines yesterday with some looting as well, and we're going to follow up on this and let you know as we get more information on exactly what happened here. Okay, also making headlines, new developments this morning involving Georgia's presidential election, not the one coming up in a few months, but the one from 2020. Our state's election board has has voted to ask Georgia's Attorney General to reinvestigate Fulton County's vote tally. Atlanta News First reporter Rebecca Schramm explains how the resolution came about.
The 5-member state elections board leans heavily to the right, so much so that former President Donald Trump praised the 3 Republican members of that board at his rally last weekend here in Atlanta. One of the members actually attended that rally. Take a look. Her name is Janice Johnston. She's a retired obstetrician who was appointed to the board by the Georgia Republican Party. She made a motion for Attorney General Chris Carr to reopen an inquiry of Fulton County's 2020 vote count, an inquiry that was already closed in May. The resolution says if Carr doesn't act, The board will try to hire an outside lawyer to conduct the inquiry. The board's chair pointed out that this move would likely be met with a lawsuit, but still, the Republican-heavy board approved the measure. Now, keep in mind, there have already been 3 vote counts that showed former President Trump lost Georgia by about 12,000 votes. Still, Trump continues to say at every rally he holds, including the one here in Atlanta, that the 2020 election was stolen. Prior investigations have shown that Fulton County was disorganized and that there were human errors, but not enough to overturn the results. Fulton County's elections board considers the case closed. We will be watching today to see how the Attorney General reacts to this request to reinvestigate the 2020 election. In downtown Atlanta, Rebecca Schramm, Atlanta News First.
Okay, also, back in the headlines again, Tropical Storm Debbie, and we continue monitoring the latest with that. So it continues moving north right now. It's brought a deluge of rain that's already flooded coastal communities in Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. But look at this. This is a scene in North Carolina, in Wilson County, where it really left a mess behind at a school there. The National Weather Service confirming a tornado did touch down, causing extreme damage to that school. First Alert meteorologist Rodney Harris has been following what's happening with Debbie. It looks very active. Thankfully, here in Metro Atlanta, we haven't been able to, we haven't been subjected to it.
Correct. No issue for us, Joy, in Metro Atlanta, but Debbie's still very active and still producing some very dangerous rains, specifically in North Carolina. That's really where we are focused on today. You can see that storm, the center of Debbie, at least, that's still located over South Carolina, just east of Columbia. And Debbie will travel from South Carolina to North Carolina throughout the course of the day today. The heaviest rain is north of Debbie, so a lot of the heavy rain has already been falling, as Joy mentioned, in North Carolina. Flooding rains in addition to some tornado warnings here this morning, and that unfortunately will continue to be the case for our friends further north and east throughout the course of the day today. So Debbie has winds of 45 miles per hour. That's important because earlier this morning, Debbie actually had winds of 50 miles per hour. It made a second landfall around 2 o'clock this morning near Charleston, just northeast of Charleston, South Carolina, with 50 mile per hour winds. It actually strengthened a little bit because it set over the Atlantic before it made its second landfall. Now that it's back on land, we expect this to continue to weaken as it moves eventually toward the northeast. But I want to point out, and this is important as well, even though Tropical Storm Debbie will slowly weaken over the next couple of days, it's still going to continue to produce a ton of rain for the East Coast, specifically the Northeast Coast. So that's the latest on Debbie. I want to take a look at the latest forecast track, and the track will take it again up the East Coast. So today it's a tropical storm in South Carolina. This afternoon it's moving into North Carolina, and then by tonight we are forecasting Debbie to weaken to a tropical depression, and then from North Carolina on Friday through Saturday it's going to quickly move up the northeast U.S. coast. And at this point, it will at some point lose its tropical characteristics and just become a regular low-pressure system as it gets closer to New York. But again, at this point, the classifications don't really matter whether it's a tropical storm. Once it eventually just becomes a low, it will continue to just produce a ton of rain. Here's the latest forecast rain estimates. And what you see in yellow over northern South Carolina, most of North Carolina, and getting up into the Virginias and even Pennsylvania, that's at least 3 inches of rain, new rainfall from now through Friday. And the orange that you see, that's at least 5 inches of new rainfall amounts. Not what has already fallen, but just new rainfall amounts. So again, Debbie is a rainmaker and will continue to produce flash flooding for our friends to the north and east. So that's something we'll continue to watch. If you have any travel plans along the East Coast, specifically in the D.C., New York area, Philadelphia, North Carolina, Virginia, from now through Friday, definitely pay close attention to your flights because you may certainly be impacted as Debbie continues to move toward the north and east. Again, it's weakening here over the next day or so, but even with it weakening, it's still going to continue to produce a ton of rain. Let's bring it back home, and how about this? I mean, it's a beautiful morning right now in Metro Atlanta. You can see completely clear outdoors right now. It was hot yesterday. It was 96 degrees. It will be hot again this afternoon. Our highs are back into the upper 90s. So plan on that as you get the kids out of school at 3 o'clock. Just know it's going to be super hot. Stay in the shade, drink plenty of water if you're going to be outdoors. Here's a look at our high-resolution forecast model, and the forecast today will be very similar to what we saw yesterday. Mostly sunny in metro Atlanta throughout the afternoon. If you're in far northeast Georgia, like Athens to Gainesville, up to Helen northeastward, you will continue to see a lot of clouds because you're closer to the center of Debbie. And as you're driving home from work today in metro Atlanta, completely dry for your drive home, mostly sunny, but notice that just east of us, some isolated showers will be possible around 5, 6 o'clock, again, from Athens to Gainesville to Helen. These are still the outer bands of Debbie impacting us. It's not much. We're talking about like 5 or 6 showers, so it's not going to really do anything to your plans. But don't be surprised if you see that specifically in northeast Georgia later on this afternoon. And then tonight, as you head out to dinner, and when you're coming home from dinner, we could see an isolated shower or two in metro Atlanta because of Debbie. Again, it wouldn't be much, but that is still possible, just because it's still so close. And even though the center of Debbie will be in North Carolina later on this evening, it's still a massive storm in the sense that the clouds and the isolated showers will still impact us. So here's a look at that 7-day forecast. 20% chance of isolated showers, mainly for East Georgia this evening, maybe in metro Atlanta tonight. Otherwise, just hot with plenty of sunshine. Your high is 96. Friday, partly cloudy, 94 degrees. The weekend is looking fantastic. Once Debbie moves north and east, it's actually going to bring a cold front down into North Georgia. It's not really going to cool off, but that cold front will bring us some drier air, so it'll feel more pleasant over the weekend. It won't feel humid. 94 is your high on Saturday, 94 on Sunday. We do have a 20% chance of rain on Sunday. That same front, as it continues to produce, again, the potential for more flooding rain in North Carolina and Virginia throughout the course of the day today. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Valdez will have an update on Debbie coming up on Atlanta News First at noon. And, of course, you can always get those updates in the First Alert Weather app. Enjoy today in metro Atlanta. Enjoy the sunshine. Stay cool in the heat. And until next time, we'll see you soon.